Hey, I'm Rob from MrHomeOwner. Today we're going to look through some error codes that you may encounter when using the brand new Char-Griller Gravity 980 and how to resolve them. So there's about 4 or 5 we're going to go through. You can look in the description below. There should be links directly to each one. That way you don't have to sit through the other ones. Just go ahead and click on that link, get the ERR, ERP error, get the ERF, ERH. What do they all mean? So I'll go ahead and trigger some of the codes, and I'll show you how to fix it. Okay, the first one I can't actually demonstrate, but it is the ERU error code. And that actually is telling you that your grill has the incorrect voltage or has a power supply failure. So what you can do, you only want to run this with the proper specs. If you somehow damage or lose your power supply, you can contact Char-Griller and they'll tell you the correct specs so you can order a new one. They may even have some links on Amazon that people have tried out and they've verified work correctly with this. But that is the ERU error. Now, something else you can test. You have your cord, say everything looks fine with it. Follow the cord up to where it plugs in. And from there, you can disconnect it and reconnect it and see if maybe it had just started to come loose. That connection's right up here, and you can just follow this cord right up and you'll find it no problem. But again, if that's not the issue, unplugging and replugging that in, or you've damaged your power supply, feel free to give Char-Griller a call or email their support, and they'll be happy to send you some specs on a new one. Okay, so the next one on our list is ERH. H is for heat, right? So you can remember that one. When you see ERH displayed on here, the grill is thinking that the temperature has exceeded 750 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's overheated. So what you want to do, immediately unplug the grill, and open it up to hopefully quickly let it cool down. You want to check things on this side as well. Okay, over here, you want to make sure, once things are cooled down, don't open this if it's too hot. You can make sure that your fan flap up here is hanging freely. Okay? There is a wire in the back here that sometimes the fan ends up getting caught on. So you want to make sure that's hanging freely. If it's not hanging freely, pull it back so it is, and you can also loosen those screws just a tiny bit to give it a little bit of play, so it'll end up hanging nice. You can also check your fan to make sure that it is spinning freely and that nothing is in its way. Now, if you have opened your grill after the ERH code and you're seeing flames all over the place, especially down in this area, you may have not emptied your grease pan last time you cooked. It might have gotten way too hot in there, and that just started a fire. In that case, shut everything down, including this vent on the back, to try to snuff out that hot flames. Once it's safe, and you think everything's gone out and everything's cooled down, make sure you empty that grease pan, and make sure you do it after every cook. The last thing you can do, the temperature probe for the inside of the grill is located right here. It may have gotten dirty. It may be reading the wrong temperature. So what you can do, there's a little screw here. You can undo this and wipe it clean. Clean it off, make sure it's, nothing's covering it. And it should be giving you a good reading. If after all that, you're still seeing that ERH code with or without the high heat, you want to go ahead and give Char-Griller a call or contact their support. All right, moving along. Our next one is when your display says the word open. Now right away, it's going to be probably just a simple fix. Let's go over here and take a look. Just as I thought, this door wasn't latched shut. So this little button here wasn't depressed. and that made me depressed. So what you want to do is check this door here. You also want to check this door here. Make sure that these are both latched when you're trying to cook. When that says open, it's going to turn off the power to the fan. So it's not going to be pushing any air through because you really don't want to have these open when you're cooking at all. If that does not fix it, then what you can do is unplug your power and then check the wires right back here. You can look right in the owner's manual and you can double check the way you have things plugged in. It could just be a loose wire. Maybe it wasn't pushed in all the way. Maybe it had a weird connection if it started working for you and then all of a sudden now you're seeing open all over the place. So double check those wires. After checking those wires, plugging it back in and seeing if you still have that open display there, and you think everything is correct as far as you can tell, and you're going to want to contact Char-Griller support and they'll take care of you. All right, let's move on to the ERF code. F stands for fan. So when you see ERF on here, that means your fan is currently not working. So I've actually gotten it before. So when you're cooking, you're seeing and you're like, hey, how come my temperature's dropping all of a sudden? Shouldn't the fan kick on? And then as soon as the fan should kick on, boop, you see that ERF code come up. And you're like, man, I'm in the middle of cooking. What should I do? All right, first way to fix it, and this is all I've ever had to do so far. Unplug your grill. Count to 10 or 15 or so. Plug it back in. See if the fan kicks on now. You're going to have to turn it back on. You might have to set your temp again. And then you'll see if the fan kicks on. If it does, perfect. Fan just had a little hiccup. Now if that does not fix it, unplug. You're going to go onto the other side over here. This is where the fan wire runs in. You can see it right here. And it goes through here, connects to some wires, and then it all goes out through here. So you want to take that one off. Loosen these two. Gently lift up on this and pull it out. Whoop, I undid that screw all the way, huh? So from here, let me just tighten these up a little bit so I don't lose them. From here you can check these cables. You can see this is the fan cable right here with this connector. So what you can do is undo it. Looks like the pins are fine in there. Push it back together. You hear the snap. While you're in here, it doesn't hurt just to check these other ones. Now these we talked about earlier for your buttons. These are the wires you want to check for your door open buttons. Okay, well everything looks good here. Let's pack everything back in here. Make sure you tuck everything in. And then replace your screws that you had tightened or taken off earlier and loosened. At this point, plug it back in and give it a try. There's the fan. Let's say that didn't work. Say your fan's still not working. Turn off your grill, unplug it. Now you're going to inspect the fan. Now do not attempt this with a hot grill. You want things to cool down before you start inspecting the fan. Once your fire is out, open up your ash door here, and you can look up to see what's going on with your flap. Make sure your flap is fine. If your flap seems all right, then leave that alone. If it seems like it's sticking or kind of folding in a little bit against the wire here, maybe it was stuck or something, you can always loosen those 3 screws a tiny bit just to let it hang a little more freely. If that looks fine, next step is you can take off the fan assembly itself with these 4 screws. Just a Phillips head screwdriver, you can take it off, and that'll let you take it out and inspect it a little bit easier. Maybe easier actually to take unplug the wires too. That way you can take it off completely and bring it to somewhere you might have some light, like the garage or somewhere, inside. You want to make sure there's nothing stuck in there. Sometimes maybe a little piece of charcoal or something might get in there, a little piece of wood. You want to make sure that fan is spinning freely. And if it is, hook everything back up. Maybe the connection was weird or something again. But yeah, plug everything back in. If it's still not working, you want to contact Char-Griller support. That's you can get to it like from their website. They have an 800 number, I'm sure. All right, let's talk probe codes. You have the ERR code and the ERP code. Now, first off, let's talk about the probes that come with your grill. You actually, so you get one of these meat probe, and then I actually ordered the other one off Amazon. If you need a second probe, just look down below in my description. There's a link to my Amazon store, and that's where you can pick up another one for like $9. Used to be $7, I swear, when I bought it, like just a month ago. Anyway, if you get an ERR code or ERP code, check your probes. If you're using these meat probes over like 300, 350 degrees, you're going to start to get a beeping because these guys don't want to be in there if it's hotter than 300 really. So keep that in mind. That could be the issue. You're too high in temp, and your meat probes are saying, "Dude, it's hot in here. Get me out." All right. It could also be that these aren't plugged in all the way. It could be just you want that to click when you push it in. It could also be that these might be a little dirty. So what I usually do is get like a damp cloth. You can even soak these in hot water, and then get like a damp cloth and just kind of wash them off a little bit. And the more you do it, the easier it's going to be. You're not going to get as much buildup. So maybe try every time you cook, every other time you cook, or use these guys. Just try to wipe them off when you can. Now the other code you're going to get from probes is you have this ambient temperature probe right here. That can get greasy and dirty pretty quick. So what you want to do there, if you get one of these ERR codes, ERP codes, and you think your meat temps are fine, your meat thermometers are fine, what you want to do is take a wet rag, wet cloth, and see how much you can clean off that internal temp probe, the ambient temp probe. There is a screw there. You should be able to take it off if you really want to clean it. But what you can also do could be something, when you assembled your grill, you had to plug that temp probe in. So what you can do is follow this cord right to this little junction box behind here for your ambient temperature probe. Just unplug it, check the pins, make sure everything's cool, plug it back in. Whenever you're unplugging or plugging in as far as these wires go, you generally want to unplug your grill. But yeah, that's about it for the ERR ERPs. Again, wash it with some warm water, some kind of cloth, and try to keep them clean. That's also going to give you more accurate temps within your grill, because your computer on here pretty much relies on that ambient temperature probe to set the right temps. Now, if you're seeing ERR, ERP codes, even after you've done all this, you've checked the ends, you've cleaned off the probes, you've unplugged and replugged in your grill, and you're still seeing it, you want to contact Char-Griller support at chargriller.com. Hey, thanks so much for coming by. I hope I was able to help you out a little bit. If you have any questions about error codes or anything, let me know. You can let me know down in the comments below, or you can reach out to me directly, rob@MrHomeOwner.com. If you want, I have tons of videos on this Gravity. Check out the playlist here. and let me know what you think.